National Cabinet will meet for the first time of the year as rapid antigen supply shortages and the closure of testing sites cause chaos across the country. The Prime Minister will present a new plan to offer funding to low-income earners, welfare recipients and pensioners to pay for the at-home COVID tests. The scheme will fund up to 5 kits for each person and will be rolled out through the same mechanism as COVID disaster payments. Residents will need to apply for the subsidy and meet an eligibility test before being provided with an immediate cash payment. State and territory governments will be asked to contribute 50% of the cost, but the President of the Australian Council of Trade Unions is calling on the Commonwealth to make the tests free for all Australians. In a letter seen exclusively by Sky News, Michelle O'Neill wrote, "Back in October, unions and business came together, acting in the national interest and in the spirit of cooperation to sound the alarm about the critical role rapid antigen tests would play in the opening up of the economy and urge the federal government to act. Unfortunately, to date, you have left this problem in the hands of the market. Now, with Omicron upon us, PCR testing sites are at risk of being overwhelmed. Australians are scrambling to find rapid antigen tests and struggling to afford them. This puts at grave risk public health and our country's economic recovery." The letter comes after the consumer watchdog launched a probe into complaints of price gouging on rapid tests and threatened to name and shame offending retailers.
City streets are again buzzing with activity, but Australia is mired in a very different kind of rat race.
This day was always going to come, and unfortunately right now we're caught majorly short.
Demand for rapid tests has seen pharmacies flooded and prices sent sky high.
Testing remains free for those who need it.
Those being close contacts. Everyone else has to pay, and some retailers are accused of cashing in. Over 100 reports of price gouging have the consumer watchdog giving chase.
We have the ability to name and shame people if they are doing the wrong thing.
The Prime Minister has ruled out making rapid tests free for all on economic grounds, something Labor claims is a double standard, pointing to the billions of dollars in JobKeeper that went to profitable companies and was never repaid.
That wasn't a problem. They didn't need to put in place any handbrake or any checks and balances, but when it comes to healthcare and rapid antigen tests, this Prime Minister has said, "You're on your own."
Manufacturers blame the supply squeeze in part on the delay in approving the use of rapid tests, which wasn't given until November.
The hold-up was clearly at the feet of the TGA.
The AMA says it warned government months ago that a spike in demand was coming.
I know there's a lot of blame on the Therapeutic Goods Administration, and I think that's ridiculous. It doesn't matter who provides it, but you've got to actually have several things. You've got to have enough of them.
We're making sure that we have more supply coming into Australia over the coming weeks. We expect to see more than 100 million kits sourced for Australians to be able to use.
Even once it arrives, questions linger over how best to distribute the tests. In the United States and Britain, millions of homes are receiving them by post, something New South Wales has ruled out, claiming the tests are too fragile to send by mail. Another item on Scott Morrison's agenda, a push to reclassify hospital admissions. He wants to differentiate between those in hospital because of COVID and those who test positive, but it's not the reason for their visit.
Maybe a third or half those cases are now found, if you like, because they're coming in for some other reasons.
Labor isn't convinced.
As if that's the priority. If someone's in hospital, they're in hospital.
National Cabinet with much to think about as cases and frustrations continue to rise. Cameron Redden, Sky News, Canberra.